Alright, so I'm just making this short video describing an oil leak I had on my CRV that I could not find. And I had to constantly add oil to my car. I had a Chevy Volt and I had gotten repoed, so it was cheaper to buy a used car than just to get the car out of the repo lot. So I decided to get one from a cheap car dealership downtown, and everything seemed fine. Car worked fine, and it started stuttering, and I would have to reset the computer on it by taking out the fuses and putting them back in. Now right here, I had my buddy put the car on the lift so we can search for a leak from underneath it, from underneath the vehicle. I had changed out the oil filter and changed out the oil. You were thinking maybe it was the oil filter that was leaking. It was a bitch to get off. We had to get some special tools. I had like this rubber tool that would wrap around it, but we ended up using a metal one. And I'm assuming because I brought it back to the guy I purchased it from, that he just kept on tightening everything, trying to find where the leak is. And he tightened that son of a bitch on there. It literally took us like 3 hours to get that oil filter off. So that's what you're seeing right there. We determined it wasn't the oil filter. It was coming up from a lot higher on the engine block.
Don't know. Surprised that 10 worked.
Need like a flathead or something?
Yeah. Just put it in here. Oh.
Ooh. Ooh.
Got some intricate parts here.
It's. Oh, I just made it fall apart. There goes.
I don't know if it would come out of that at all. This switch sensor.
Let me see it. It almost looks like a piston valve in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. It uses the oil pressure to.
Well, what's causing it to squirt out oil?
I don't know.
I'm assuming when the oil pressure builds up, it pushes that thing up right there and allows the oil to flow into that hole right there and then distribute to the rest of this housing.
Yeah, it kind of controls the variable valve.
You think I should just buy a whole new one? Because I think this thing just might be SOL. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it, but I'm confused why it would be leaking. It's got a gaskets on it and everything. I mean, it's got O-rings. I'm lost.
Yeah. But I think I know some guys to ask. Yeah, you can see where the silicone split.
Yeah. It's a good chance there's probably more than one leak on there.
Still got enough oil?
So in conclusion, it ended up being the VTEC Solenoid, which is like a oil regulator that's mounted to the back of the engine near the exhaust manifold on the left side, where the kind of opposite where the belts are. and it has like a little heat shield. It's actually to project oil away from the exhaust manifold, so if it's leaking, you don't catch your car on fire. I actually kept that off when I put it back on, but it ended up being that little gasket you see right there with a little mesh filter, and also it's still seeping out of the top of it. There's like a I guess like a gray spring actuator looking thing that's on the top, and it's screwed in with like 2 Torx screws and or I screws. So a little gasket on there, or a little O-ring on there. It looks, if you take it apart, it kind of looks like a what do they call that? Like a valve, like a piston valve on the top. And I'm assuming when oil pressure, when the car gets hotter or whatever, I'm not exactly sure, it pushes it up and allows oil to go through that little throttle body, that little you know, that solenoid, and into the engine block. So I got most of the problem solved. The top of it's easy to take off. I'm probably going to change that little O-ring, or probably use some liquid gasket in the future and run it around the side of it, and then put it back on top. And it's pretty easy to get to. But all in all, this is a very common oil leak in these vehicles. So if you're having a difficult time trying to hunt down where this is technically, I would say 90% of these oil leaks are usually this VTEC solenoid manifold that you see on the back of the engine. So I appreciate it for watching.